Well, everyone, I've actually owned the iPhone 13 for about a month now, and I figured I might as well go ahead and drop my review right now while we're 1 month in. And here's the thing. I think the iPhone 13 is a tremendous phone. I think it's great, and all that stuff that I typically say with any other iPhone release, it is the same thing. I mean, it's more of the same. And the thing is that this year specifically, I think ever since Apple dropped the mini lineup and that took the place of the iPhone 11 price tag, it's made this iPhone 13, not the 13 Pro, not the 13 mini, it's made this specific phone kind of a strange value in my opinion. Now at $829 or $799 if you're buying it on contract or through a cell provider, you're going to be getting a cheaper phone than the 13 Pro. But this is one of those rare years where the difference between an iPhone 13 and the Pro series of this year, I truly do think it's worth that extra money. I mean, you're getting better performance, a way better display, and way better cameras. Just those things in and of itself make me want to recommend people to buy the iPhone 13 Pro over the standard iPhone 13. If you rewind back just 2 years ago with the iPhone 11, I was kind of recommending people to buy the iPhone 11 more than the iPhone 11 Pro or 11 Pro Max, mostly because there were so similarities, there were so many similarities down the board. We had obviously not an IPS panel on the 11 Pros or anything, but we had the same performance. We had better battery life on the 11 kind of than the 11 Pro sometimes, and that was a solid phone. Now they are kind of so close in price tag that I would just recommend you to upgrade to the 13 Pro. Now with the body of it, it still looks great 1 month in. I haven't had too many issues with the body. Really the main issues were software wise. The buttons all work, power buttons still work, screen, no burning or anything like that, which is tremendous. And I can definitely tell you right now, this phone from an iPhone 12, which what I was coming from before for my secondary device, very little difference on the front. I absolutely see no difference at all. There's really not that big of a difference with the notch either. So I don't really think that's a bad thing. I'm so used to kind of tuning out the notch that even if they made it smaller, it didn't really bother me too much. Same landing port at the bottom and same type of glass back on the back as well. So I didn't really see too many big differences with the body. And I think that's a good thing. You are getting better battery life and a bigger battery on the iPhone 13, which is really cool. And I'll get into the battery segment in a second. But the body wise, I'm perfectly fine with it. I don't really have too many issues with it. Now with the cameras, this is the one thing that I just kind of want to get out of the way. Going from an iPhone 12 to an iPhone 13 is such a minor impact with the camera that if you really don't care about cinematic mode, it's really not going to matter too much to you in my opinion. And I've already actually filmed all the camera comparisons for the iPhone 13 series. I just have not dropped them yet because I've been doing so many MacBook and Pixel videos. But what I can tell you about this iPhone camera is, at least compared to all the other iPhones that I've tested it and some other Samsung phones and all those devices, is just how great of a phone the iPhone 13 is. I mean, this is a solid camera for sure. Now, it's not perfect like I mentioned. There are still some issues here and there, but I do think for somebody who has something like, an iPhone 13 or something like an iPhone 12, going to an iPhone 13 Pro, that's when you're going to start seeing the bigger differences. And as I mentioned before, that is probably the area I would probably recommend looking into. 4K 60 on the front and the back, which is great. But I do think one of the sadder aspects of the iPhone series is just the camera UI. I really think Apple could do such a better job with the camera UI that I'm just curious to see why they still have kept it the same for so many years. They keep adding features to it, but it still looks so archaic. It just still looks like what I used to see on my iPhone 4. It's pretty much the same thing. So I hope Apple at some point goes ahead and improves this UI, making it way better than Samsung's or way better than Pixel's. It seems like all manufacturers haven't really gotten it right yet. But in terms of the camera, it's great. It's one of the better cameras yet, but it's still not as good as the 13 Pro or 13 Pro Max. But comparatively to all the other iPhones out there, and possibly if you're going on Snapchat and TikTok and stuff, this is a tremendous camera for sure. And all the videos that I filmed on this thing so far have been beautiful for sure. So in terms of that covers it up here. Now next up, software wise. Now, like I mentioned, with a phone like the iPhone 13, you are going to be getting a solid software longevity. I mean, this thing's going to be lasting forever. And like I mentioned, when you get a phone like this, you want it to last as long as possible. And in this specific case, it is 100% of a fact you're going to be getting a very long supported phone from the iPhone 13. So you can pick it up today, you can pick it up tomorrow, and it's still going to be here for many, many more years. So for sure, the iPhone 13 is a no-brainer in this specific case. with the performance side of things, I have tested the iPhone 13 against so many other iPhones for the last month, and it's actually a little bit over a month now, and I can tell you this is one of the fastest iPhones ever made. I honestly don't even see that big of a performance difference between the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 13 Pros, but with the iPhone 13, and just to give you some perspective, if you haven't seen the comparisons I dropped, I've compared this phone to the iPhone 12, the 12 Pro, the iPhone 11 series, the Samsung Galaxy S21s. Like, I've done so many speed comparisons between this one and a ton of other iPhones, even the iPhone 10, the iPhone 6s, like so many iPhones I've made videos for. And I can definitely tell you this is the smoothest iPhone, this is a faster iPhone than those, but the speed difference you're going to be getting from one generation to the other is very, very small. It's not until, at least from my calculations, it's not until about the iPhone XS and XR, that's when you start seeing some bigger performance differences. But even from an iPhone 11 to an iPhone 13, even an iPhone 10 to an iPhone 13, I probably wouldn't go and upgrade. I wouldn't make that switch. I would go from an iPhone 10 to a 13 Pro. I think that's worth the money, but I would rather just go from an iPhone 10 to an iPhone 11 and save a bunch of money that way if I can get it used. So I will tell you, performance wise, that Apple A15 Bionic chip is very good. I like that chipset a lot. And the additional RAM is really cool compared to, I guess, some older iPhones, not with the iPhone 11 or anything. So this phone is going to be able to handle pretty much everything you throw at it. And for my last month of using it, I haven't thought to myself like, oh, this is such a bad performing phone. But I also haven't really thought to myself, wow, this is a great performing phone. It's just kind of been more of the same. And I've kind of been feeling like this since about, I think, like the iPhone XR, to be honest. So I guess we'll see how it ages like in a year or two when I make those videos. But I think with the iPhone 13 performance side, great performance. It's more of the same. It's faster than really all the iPhones before it, but I don't think it's going to be worth the upgrade unless you're coming from like an iPhone XR or older, and then you'll start seeing some bigger performance improvements in my opinion. So in terms of performance, that covers it up here. Now I do want to end off with the battery life before I kind of, sum up my thoughts of this specific iPhone. This battery life on this iPhone is tremendous. I've already dropped so many battery comparisons of this thing too, and I've had a very solid experience with it. I think from just standby mode and playing video games, whatever you're going to be doing on your iPhone, you're going to be getting a substantial battery increase even from an iPhone 12 Pro. Now, I do want to say this probably has a lot to do with iOS 15. A lot of the iPhones I was running this battery test on, and even a lot of Androids were running on beta software, even my Pixel 5. So I do want to let you know that I think iOS 15 was tailored and you really, zoomed in on the iPhone 13, and then the other iPhones were kind of like an afterthought. So in this specific case, I think the iPhone 13 has the best battery life right now from the cheaper iPhones. It's better than the 13 mini, but I still think from my tests, the 13 Pro actually beat the 13, and then the 13 Pro Max beat the iPhone 13 as well. But the iPhone 13 beat a ton of other iPhones. So the battery life on this iPhone is solid, and still 1 month in, no battery degradation yet, which is really good. So we're really, really happy about that. So now, to be completely honest, 1 month of ownership of the iPhone 13, I will tell you I'm pretty happy about it, but I'm actually kind of like, it just hasn't really been as crazy of a deal, I think, with the iPhone 13, which is funny because the iPhone 12 last year wasn't even that crazy of a deal to me either. There were really no iPhones last year that really shocked me. And this year, on the other hand, the 13 Pro really did shock me, and I love that phone a lot. The same thing with the 13 Pro Max, but that 13 Pro is a perfect size for me. With the iPhone 13, unless you really just want to save that extra money, there is just really no reason to pick up an iPhone 13, in my opinion. I would much rather just go towards the iPhone 13 Pro, or save your money and go to something like an iPhone 12, or even an iPhone 11. There really isn't a crazy big reason to pick up an iPhone 13, in my opinion. There's just nothing that really shocks me into that, opinion. And after owning it, I already still own it and making a ton of videos with it and everything. I just think Apple needs to do something pretty crazy with this phone. It's almost the exact same thing as the iPhone 12s, to be honest. So if you have an iPhone 12, I wouldn't recommend updating. If you have an iPhone XR, that's pretty much the only iPhone I'd recommend going to the 13. But overall, for an $800 phone, this isn't a bad option. I think it's very good for the most part. But I just think because it's so close to that, $999 phone of the 12 Pro, that it just, or the 13 Pro, just kind of makes sense to pick that one up. But I plan on still using my iPhone 13 forever. I plan on using it for my second channel videos and everything, so I'll probably keep you guys updated every couple of months of how that phone runs. But I'm sure when the next iPhone comes out, I'm going to compare this one against that one. But I'll tell you, I'm happy about it. I'm more happy than anything else, but I don't know, I just kind of feel like these iPhones are kind of boring, the base lineup now. The iPhone 11, they killed it at. The iPhone 12, they did a really good job at too, in my opinion, in terms of design, although it really wasn't my favorite iPhone. The iPhone 13, they improved a lot, but I just feel like it's kind of boring right now, which is so crazy. So in terms of that covers it up. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.